Welcome to our live show in Beijing. I'm Luo Xin with Xinhua News Agency. Today is China's Culture and Natural and Heritage Day for this year. China has observing the day on the second Saturday of June. Now we are on the highest point of the Jingshan Park, which used to be an imperial park and is now a popular tourist attraction in Beijing. Today, join me and Ms. Jing to start our natural journey today. Hi, Ms. Jing.
Hello, Luo Xin. Welcome to our Jingshan Park.
Could you please give us a brief introduction to the Jingshan Park?
Yes, of course, it's my pleasure. Jingshan is located in the center of the city, and the history of the park is nearly 1,000 years. It belonged to the royal palace in the ancient time. After Yongding River changed its course, it left two mounts. One of them was the Jingshan Mountain. The elevation of the hill is 94.2 meters. From east to west, there are 5 ridges, on which a glass-tile pavilion was built. Wanchun Pavilion on the top of the hill was not only the largest one, but also the best place to enjoy the whole view of the city and the central axis.
The central axis is longest and most intact in the world, and it includes China's best Asian buildings and witness the change of the city. Could you show me around?
Okay. Looking south, you could see the Palace Museum. Palace Museum is the largest, best preserved imperial palace in the world. There are 24 emperors lived in this palace during the Ming and Qing dynasties. The layout of the Forbidden City is divided into 2 parts, the front court and the backyard. Front court centers on the Hall of the Super Harmony, Hall of the Middle Harmony, and the Hall of the Preserving Harmony. This is the palace was used for the emperor holding the court meetings, and the backyard centers on the Hall of Heavenly Purity, Hall of Unity, Hall of Earth Tranquility, East and West Palace, and the Imperial Garden. This group of buildings was used for the emperor, empress, and concubines lived. I will show another single spot in Beijing. It is a famous spot, Beihai Park. Let's go.
Look at the beautiful white pagoda. Could you tell the story behind it?
Yes, the red pagoda is the symbol of the Beihai Park. The lovely scenery of the Beihai Park makes you feel as if you are in south of China. The history of the park is more than 1,000 years, so the Beihai Park is not only the best preserved imperial garden, but also the longest history in China. Okay, I will show the north part of the central axis. This way, please. Standing here, we could see the Diamond Street, the Bell and the Drum Tower to the end of the street. This group of buildings in front of us is called Shouhuang Hall. But during the Ming Dynasty, this group of buildings was not located on the central axis. It was about 10 meters away. In 1715, Emperor Qianlong, in order to show his respect to his ancestors, he decided to move and rebuild this group of the building. The reconstruction of the Shouhuang Hall, located on the central axis, it was having more facilities and it looked more splendid and magnificent in structure. The main hall is located on a high platform. The roof style is the same as the whole Super Harmony, representing the top standard of the Chinese architecture.
We know that there's another place that is paying tribute to the heaven.
Yes, this place is called the Temple of the Heaven. It was located near the central axis. This way, please. See, over there is the Temple of the Heaven.
So today is very sunny.
Yes, on the top of the Wanchun Pavilion, we could see the whole view of the city. It is the best place to enjoy the whole view of the city. The Temple of Heaven is located near the central axis.
So my colleagues are at the Temple of Heaven now. Let's see what they will offer about the past, present, future of the central axis of Beijing.
Now I'm standing at the Temple of Heaven, a 600-year-old imperial altar, and also a major piece of architecture alongside the central axis of Beijing. And joining me today is Mr. Zhang, a senior tour guide.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, and both of us are going to take you for the first part of the tour of the temple, and also later, my colleague Ru Xuan is going to meet with us, and she and him are going to take you for the second part. All right. So now let's begin our journey here at the Temple of the Heaven. So could you please first of all give us an idea of the overall place? Yeah.
Okay, so the Temple of Heaven was first built in the year 1420. So by the year 2020, right this year, the Temple of Heaven will celebrate its 600th birthday.
600. Yeah.
Yes, so we can say that this Temple of Heaven enjoys profound ancient Chinese culture. So the Temple of Heaven is divided into two parts. The southern part, where we are now, was used for the emperors to pray for lucky and stable society.
Yeah.
And the northern part was used for the emperor to pray for good harvest.
We're now, this is the northern part, right?
This is southern part.
This is southern part.
Yes, the southern part.
That is the northern part.
That is northern
Yeah.
part. Yeah.
So you could, our cameraman, that is, yeah. Right. Okay.
So, that way is the northern part. Of
Yeah, northern part, southern part.
Southern part,
All right.
yes.
So two parts.
Yeah, three
Okay.
parts.
Go on. Yeah.
Yeah. So this part of the temple was used for the emperor to pray for lucky and stable society, and the northern part was used for the emperor to pray for good harvest in early spring. So right here, the place we are now is called the circular mount altar, and you can see that. You may wonder why people choose this place to
It's
worship.
true.
Yeah, because you can see that this altar is almost as tall as the surrounding trees. So that's why when people standing here, and if you look up to the sky, and you may feel that you're very much close to the heaven.
Yeah.
And
So basically,
yes.
the trees are very tall enough, but
Yes.
this place is much taller,
Yes.
or at least at the same level, right?
Yeah.
So this is a kind of a place that is the nearest point to the sky
Yeah.
or to the heaven.
Yeah, you get the point.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is why this place was chosen for this ceremony.
Yes.
All right, that is awesome. And here we could see two sets of walls. Here we could see two sets of walls, but why are they different? Like the outer wall is square and the inner wall is circle. Why are the walls different?
Oh, actually,
Walls.
you may know that in the old days, the Chinese people once believed that the heaven was round and earth was square. And you can see that the inner wall is round, while the outer one is square. And so, because people believed that heaven was round, so they designed the inner one a round one and the outer one a square. And because this is a temple of heaven, so the inner wall, the inner part is round, symbolizing heaven, and the outer part is square, symbolizing the earth. So you can see that every architecture Chinese people built must have connection with nature, with the heaven.
Yeah, so both heaven and earth, kind of the integration.
Right.
And also, could you help us picture like how the ceremony was conducted here back to the old days?
Very sure. In the old days, the tablets of the God of Heaven and the tablets of the emperor's ancestors would be placed on the top terrace of this altar.
Okay, which altar? That one?
No, this one.
Oh, this
there's
one
this
will be
one.
placed here.
Yes.
Tablets.
Yeah, tablets. By the way, tablet is a kind of wooden piece, and when you write the God's name on it, or write your ancestors' name on it, and put it here, you can imagine that the God or your ancestors.
Which, like this circle or where?
In the northern part.
Oh, northern part.
northern
Like
part, yes.
like they will be put there.
Yes.
That part, right?
The tablet of the God of Heaven will be placed in the middle, and the tablets of the emperor's ancestors will be put on both sides. Yeah. So the emperor will come to the top terrace and wait for the official who read the prayers. And after the reading, the emperor will kneel down to each tablet, and he will pray to each tablet.
Like which direction would he face? Like kneel down here?
And you
Face which
face
direction?
every
Oh,
tablet.
Okay.
So he will pray for 9 times. So after the praying, the sacrifices put in front of the tablets will be transferred to some ovens to be burnt.
Okay.
And when
So
the
where are the ovens now? Like
here,
okay,
this way.
Will be placed.
Yes. And when the emperor standing here saw the smoke rising to the sky, and he believed that
So those ovens, right?
no, those ovens over there.
Oh, okay.
On the ground,
Let's
yes.
see this. Here we cannot see the ovens. Yeah. Like over there,
Yeah, over there.
down there.
Yeah.
Those ovens, right?
Yeah. The green one was used for the burning the sacrifices for the God of Heaven, and those small ones
Yeah.
burn the sacrifices for the emperor's ancestors.
Okay. So those ovens there.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. That's cool. And also here, like these slabs are very interesting. Do they have any stories behind these slabs? Here, the slabs. Yeah.
Of course, you never lack stories here in this Temple of Heaven.
Yeah.
And you can see that in the center there is a round stone. And
Yeah. Let's get closer to it. Yeah. Here is the round.
the round stone. And you can see that there are many rings of stone slabs on the ground. And the first ring has 9
ring.
stone slabs.
Yeah.
And
9.
9, yeah. The second ring has 18. Third, 27.
27.
Yeah. And up to the 9th ring.
Okay. So here, ninth ring.
9th ring, yeah.
Yeah.
The 9th ring has
This ring.
81 stone slabs.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is the story behind the numbers?
Yeah. Actually, in the old days, the Chinese emperors loved to use number 9 very much. You know that number 9 is the largest odd number or singular number within 10.
Okay.
So it is considered the largest number in ancient China, and the emperor would use it in royal palaces or royal altars. And so here, all these tablets are 9 or multiples of 9.
Okay.
So number 9 means lucky or auspiciousness.
So altogether 81.
Yeah, 81.
Okay. So 81 symbolizes like the huge world, right?
Yes.
Almost kind of the largest number back at the old time.
Yeah, so 9 multiples 9, it means
Okay.
a lot.
All right.
Unlimited.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's head to next spot. All right.
Okay.
Let's head to let's get this way. But if you look at the overall
Yes.
view of this place, the kind of ecological system is well preserved,
Yeah.
right?
Because
Back
there are
at that time, were there trees or stuff like that? Back at old times, were there trees or something like this?
also trees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because many of these trees were planted during Ming or Qing dynasties. So many of them are very old now. And later we will have a view of those trees.
Okay.
And you can find that many of them are over 300 or 100 years old.
Yeah. And now also the slabs, we could see these slabs or the stone road, because I feel like I'm walking on the history,
Yes, sure.
literally walking on the history.
Yeah. Because many of these stones on the ground are over 400 or 500 years old.
Okay.
So when you walk on it, you can feel the feeling of history, the feeling of time passing.
And also the gate.
Yes. So it is a
like,
little different.
Very
right?
special.
Yeah.
What is that? What does the meaning behind? What is the meaning behind this gate?
Okay. So actually, in the old days,
We can see the gate. Yeah.
before the heaven worshipping ceremony, the emperor must have worshipped a star related to agriculture before he can worship to the
Stars.
god of heaven,
Okay.
a kind of star. But later, it was a little complicated for him to do so, so he craved this kind of star on the gate as the cloud pattern.
Okay.
And
That
you
is a cloud pattern.
A cloud
We could see
pattern. It is-
cloud.
Yeah, cloud.
Okay.
It is some kind of stars among ancient Chinese culture.
Okay.
So when the emperor walked past through this gate, and it means he has worshipped this star.
Okay.
And so it is kind of, I think that it is short of this step. It
Okay.
is kind of streamline.
Okay. And also here, very delicate. You could see that, like very, very delicate. It's a dragon, right?
Yes, it is kind of here dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you
and-
see
yeah.
carved with a dragon.
Yeah,
Very
and-
delicate. If you
yes.
see that, very close. Very close.
Yeah, and these are made of glazed tiles. You can see that many of the glazed tiles are still kept today, like this one. So you can see that a pattern of dragon is very beautifully carved. So you can have a view of the sophisticated ancient Chinese articraft.
Yes. Very, very delicate and sophisticated.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Okay, this way, please. By the way, you will find many blue here, blue roof or blue architecture.
So
Yeah.
the roof there, over there, is blue,
Yes.
and also the tiles.
Are
the
in
tiles
blue,
Here. Also
yes.
the tiles we just saw, right?
Yes.
With the carved dragons
Yes.
on.
But
Also,
if you,
also blue. But what does that mean?
Yeah, if you have ever been to the Forbidden City, you will find that the glazed tiles there are in yellow. But here, because this is a temple of heaven, and the sky is blue, so all the glazed tiles here are blue, or most of the glazed tiles here are blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to give you a better picture of what we said, so these tiles are blue. We can see that, and also sky is blue. So that's why. So they are better integrated, right?
Yes.
Because this is the temple of heaven,
Yeah.
which symbolizes the sky.
Yes.
Okay,
so
that's
that is
why
they are blue.
they are in the color of blue.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I think like every architecture here, right? Every detail has a story behind it.
Yeah.
So let's go to what is that part of the place? What is that?
This part is called the Imperial Vault of Heaven. And that was the place for storing the tablets we've just mentioned when there were no heaven worshipping ceremonies. So when there were heaven worshipping ceremonies, those tablets would be placed on the top terrace of the altar we've just visited.
Okay, so that place. Right? Yeah, let's move on. Yeah, let's go in,
Yeah.
so that our viewers could see that clearly.
Okay.
So here we could have a picture of the place, right?
Yes.
So that temple, that hole, is for storage of.
Storing the tablets.
Yeah, for storage.
You can see that there are three structures here.
Three structures.
Yes. The middle one was used for storing the tablets of the God of Heaven. And the two side halls used to store the tablets
Okay.
of secondary gods.
The two side
The
holes.
two side halls. Yeah.
Okay.
During the ceremony, the tablets in the middle, in the hole in the middle, would be placed on the top terrace of the altar we've just seen. but the tablets in the two side halls will be put on the second terrace of the altar.
Yeah.
So
And
they are
also
a little
here we see my friend Bola, but she will join us later. I will. Hi Bola, sorry to interrupt you. Do you have a minute later? I'm gonna later to have a conversation with you. Okay. All right. Yeah. See you very soon. Thank you very much. Yeah. I just saw my friend Bola. Yeah. All right. So continue our journey here. And that is for storage.
Yes.
But like, I learned that the wall over there is very special. Could you tell us something?
Well, actually, this wall is the famous echo wall in the Temple of Heaven.
Okay.
So
Yeah, let's. Sorry. Hold on, please. Let's get closer to it. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the wall. This is the wall here, which is very, very special.
Yes.
But why? Now it's. Yeah. Why? Why is
Yeah,
it?
actually, you can see that there is a roof on the top of this wall.
Okay, the roof there.
Yeah, that's the first point. And the second is the wall is very hard and smooth. And the third is a standard circle shape, so that these three elements could help keep the sound wave inside and make your sound wave transmit from this side to the other side. So if one person stands here and the other person stands over there on the opposite side, the two persons could have a dialogue despite a long distance of about 15 to 20 meters.
Okay.
It's like making a telephone call.
All right.
Yeah.
So because it's so smooth,
Yes.
the sound can transmit through the wall.
Yes.
Right. So it bounce back, bounce back, right?
To the other side.
Sort of like that.
Yes.
So if I stand here, so could you? Yeah. All right. So Bola, I think I need to ask Bola to join us to have a try.
Okay.
Like, so could you please just stand here later? Yeah. You just stand here, and I will go that side with Bola, and let's have a conversation.
Yeah,
All right. So let me see Bola first. Yeah. You could just stand here. All right. Let's see Bola. Hi, Bola. Yeah, thank you very much. So Bola is also shooting a video for her work right now, but I'm gonna have a conversation, very brief conversation with her. Hi.
Hello guys, how are you doing?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling really good. What about you?
I'm good too. I was really impressed by that part of the architecture. Also,
Yes, of course.
we are going to. Can we like have a try? Like you know the echo wall, right?
Yeah, I know the echo wall, but I never tried it. So
let's
okay,
try
let's try it together.
So the senior tour guide is over there waiting for us, and let's go that side.
Okay, we're going that
All right.
side.
So
Okay.
yeah, he's there. Like okay.
So he talked through there,
Yeah.
and we. Okay, that's
All right,
so cool.
Let's go there. By the way, you could just introduce yourself a little bit. Where are
Me,
you from?
I'm from Gabon. It's in Central West Africa, and I'm working now full time at Star Times. Shida. It is in Yijuan, at the economic zone of Beijing, and I am a full time TV host. And it is a great pleasure to be here in Beijing and in China. Like people are so cool, so welcome, so warming. Like I love it.
Yeah. All right, this is a part of the wall.
Okay.
And as we said, the tour guide is over there. Is on that end. Yeah, you could just talk to him. Like,
Hello, how you doing? Can you
I
listen
think,
to me?
I think you should point that way because the sound could transmit.
Oh,
that way.
what?
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand. How can the sun
Because
be
it's a circular.
a circular?
Yeah, it's a round and it's
Yeah.
hard. The surface is quite hard.
Mm-hmm.
The sound could be transmitted through the wall, like it bounce back, bounce back, bounce back.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a vibration that bounces
Yes,
back, bounces
yes,
back.
yes. It's like a telephone call.
Hello, Mr. Tour Guide. Can you explain us this process? Do you listen to me? Oh my
Oh.
God! That's amazing!
Like
oh
also,
my God!
like also,
I love it!
you
I
could,
love
you
it!
could also hear the echo. Like I can hear it. Just like
Yeah,
like
I
the
can,
echo.
I can,
All
I
right,
can listen to you.
try again.
Wow, that's so amazing!
But-
I love it.
But
I'm so
not really,
surprised.
I'm not really sure the viewers can hear that sound because because of the audio effect of the camera, stuff like that will be processed.
But I'm telling you
Probably.
guys, it's so amazing. I mean, it's crazy. That's
Yeah.
so.
So if there is a
know.
chance for you to come to here to visit one day, maybe you could try
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
In South Africa, they have the vuvuzela, and the vuvuzela, you have to shout through it so people can listen to you. But now they just have the whole, in China, a whole world. Hello?
All right, one more. Yeah, say goodbye to him maybe.
Do you listen to me? I'm just gonna leave, but I don't want to leave. It's so cool. I just want to stay here and gossip all night. Hello?
Mr. Zhang, you could call him Mr.
Mr. Zhang.
All right.
That's
Yeah,
so
let's say
cool.
goodbye to him.
Goodbye. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much, Paula. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, it was cool. But you just tried it for the first time, right?
Yeah, it's the first time I'm telling you, and I'm just like, I just want to call my friend and be like gossiping all night. We're just like, oh, can you listen to me? That's so cool. Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Why not make a vlog later?
Yeah, I will. I will do a vlog, and you will be watching that on my YouTube channel.
All right. Thank you very much, Paula.
Thank you too. Thank
Yeah,
you
yeah,
for
yeah,
this
yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah,
And
thank you very much. So you're shooting a video, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
we also have a shooting from Star Times. So if you have the Star Times TV and platform at home, you can watch our emission too.
All right. Yeah, yeah. Also, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank
very
you,
much.
thank you, thank
Yeah,
you.
all right.
Okay,
I really
see you
appreciate
guys.
it. Yeah, see you later. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Zhang. It was very good. It was great. Yeah, really amazing. Like we could hear one another in a kind of magical sound. All right.
Yeah,
Let's continue our journey now.
Okay.
So,
Next one, please. Luckily, this wall was not built by purpose.
not by purpose.
Not by purpose.
What do you mean?
Because this wall was not especially made for transmit the sound wave. Because the articraft was too complicated and sophisticated, so that could make the sound transmit from one side to the other. But the emperor, he didn't mean to do it.
Okay, you mean the wall.
Yes, mean the wall,
like
yeah,
the
wall.
effect of the echo.
Yes.
He didn't mean to do it. It just happened to be so.
Yeah, happened to be so, yes.
Okay, so now we move that side. Yeah.
We were going to see some very beautiful trees. And most of the trees are cypress.
So the trees over there, right?
Over there.
Okay.
Yes. Most of them are cypress.
Yeah.
Let's this way, please.
Get through it. So these are the trees we talked about.
Yes. So many of them are over 300 or 100 years old.
So most of them.
Most of them. So how can we see it? You can see that there's a green label on the tree. Yeah, this green label on the tree.
Okay, this green label.
So this label means that the tree is between 100 to 300 years old. And later, if we see a red label, that means the tree is about 300 years old.
Red one. Where is the red one? So here is a red one.
The red one. The red label means that the tree is about 300 years old. And you can see that it is about 510 years old. So quite an old tree. And if you look at its trunk, you can feel the history.
Okay.
Right?
Look at the trunk.
Yeah, you can
Let's
look.
take closer to it as well. So here, this is about 300 years old.
No, almost 500 years old.
500
Yeah.
years old. But with the green one, that would
Green
be
one, 100 to 300 years
okay.
old.
So almost 500 years
Almost,
old.
yes.
Wow.
So the tree trunk is very special.
Okay.
So it enjoys a very long age, and it stands here through 100 years of time. So they even live longer than us.
So we look at the shape, right?
Yeah.
Look at those shape.
Yes. So you can see that there's the tree trunk is very special, and this is also a tree above 300 years old.
Okay.
So actually, in the Temple of Heaven, there are more than 1,000 trees which have this kind of labels on them. And so you can see that there are many trees here. They can produce a lot of oxygen, and that makes this place a very ideal place for people to do exercises or enjoy themselves. so they can be more healthy here in the Temple of Heaven. So
You mean back in the old times or?
yeah.
Back in the old times?
No, actually, the Temple of Heaven had a public access since 1918.
Okay.
Before 1918, this place was a forbidden area for citizens, only for royal families. But after 1918, it became a park. So in 2018, it was the 100th anniversary of the public access of the Temple of Heaven.
Okay.
You can see that sure it has a quite long history.
Yes. Yeah, it is. And also here, we see this is quite special.
Yeah, even more special than those ones.
It's a lot different than those ones
Yes.
we previously saw. But what is the difference here? We could see that tree over there.
Because this tree is over 600 years old, and it is the oldest tree here you can see in this Temple of Heaven. You can see that
We look around. We go around. How about going around? Yeah.
we can see that the trunk of this tree is very special, and it looks like there are many dragons on it. So Chinese people named this tree the Nine Dragon Cypress.
Okay. 9
Nine
dragons.
dragons.
Okay, so here, if we see that closely, like they are like dragons carved on the tree, but those are just trunks, right? Just a part of the trunk.
Naturally made.
Naturally made dragons.
Yes. So
Very creative. Like people are creative,
yes.
and also I could say the tree was creative.
yes. And the Chinese people gave it a very beautiful name. Right?
Okay, let's move on.
You can see that there is a huge gate in front of us. So that's the division of the northern and southern part. So by passing through this gate, we will reach the northern part of this temple. That was the place where the emperors would pray for good harvest in spring.
Okay, so now we're heading to the second part, almost the second part, but after this gate or this bridge.
After this gate, we can call this a northern part.
Okay, after
But,
this gate.
Yeah, but strictly said, when we pass through the bridge, we'll reach the northern part.
Okay, yeah. So we could go through the gate, and yeah, my colleague Ru Xuan later will join us. And also here, could you help us picture how the emperor like walked through this place back in the old times?
Oh, sure. You can see that there are 3 paths on this bridge. The middle one is the largest one. Yeah.
So there are 3 paths, 3 different paths, and here.
Here was used for the God of Heaven to walk.
Okay.
So even emperors can't walk on this on the central road. So
So emperors emperors at that time couldn't walk on this road. Couldn't.
Yes.
Okay. What about the sidewalks?
The left one was used for the ministers.
Okay.
This one, and that one over there was used for the emperor.
For the emperor.
Yeah.
All right.
So you can see that.
Also here, if we walk
yeah.
on this road,
Yeah.
it will like
Like
we are following the
following the
route
emperor-
of the
emperor's route.
emperors. Yeah. The which one? The which?
This one, yeah.
Okay, this one. Emperor took
Yeah.
this road. Okay.
So you can see that in the Forbidden Palace, the emperor was the boss. He can charge everything, so he will walk in the middle. But here in this Temple of Heaven, the God of Heaven is the boss.
Okay.
Yeah. So the emperor must give way to the God of Heaven in the middle, and so he could only walk here. But the central path was used only for the God of Heaven.
Gotcha. So this is the only place where the God of Heaven could be higher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Than the emperor.
Yeah. By the way, this bridge is about 360 meters long.
This bridge is 360 meters long.
Yes.
What is like the number behind? What is the number? What is the meaning behind the number?
Actually, you know that a circle has 360 degrees, and in the old
Let's
days,
see this road first. Our camera assistant. See our road. It's 360 meters long. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because ancient Chinese people believed that the heaven was round, and around a circle has 360 degrees, so they designed this bridge as 360 meters for symbolizing the heavenly road, sending from the human world to the heaven. Yeah, so it is 360 meters long.
Like any ceremonies or any rituals before the ceremony conducted by the emperor. I mean, for him, like, did he have to do something before the ceremony to pray for the harvest?
Sure. Before the heaven worshipping ceremony, the emperor would go to the fasting palace first in the western part of this temple, and he will get fasted for about 3 days. But during his fasting, he cannot eat something with worse smell, such as onion or garlic. And you know that after he eat it, when he spoke to the God of heaven, it smells bad. Yeah, so it may upset the God of heaven. And he can't deal with state affairs, and he could only read some books to keep himself in calm, and then wait for the heaven worshipping ceremony. So you can say that the emperor paid very much attention and very much respect to the God of heaven. After all, in the old days, the Chinese the Chinese emperor would call himself the son of heaven. So he must respect heaven very much.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, can you feel that we are going up on the slope?
Oh, we're going up now. All right. There is a speaker, so we go this way. So we're going up. There is a gentle slope.
Yeah, gentle slope, yes.
Why?
Because it will make the emperor, when he walks from south to north, is more and more closer to the sky, to the heaven, and his prayer could be heard more clearly by the God of heaven.
All right. So to make it clear, so that part, if we see that part, we've been to, is for praying for good fortune.
Fortune, lucky,
Yeah,
stable
good.
society.
Stable society, luck, fortune.
Yes.
And here we're going to a place which was used for praying for good harvest. And now this road we are walking on, actually is a bridge. So this bridge, there is a gentle slope. So we are moving up. But that place also for praying. This place also that side also for praying. Why we are going up? So that place will be higher, right? A little higher, or
No, actually, these are two different parts. The northern part was only used for praying for harvest in early spring, but the southern part we've just visited was only used for pray for lucky and stable society on winter solstice. So different times would the emperor go to different parts. So actually, these are not the two parts are connected with this bridge. Yeah.
But cannot compare like this one with that one, like this higher. No, okay. But anyway, we are going up, slightly up, right? Okay, cool.
Imagine that the emperor in the old days would also walk this way.
So that place, any like architecture?
That place, the architecture was built recently. Yeah. In the old days, there were not architectures here, because that was used for the emperor to change his clothes.
Okay.
before
So
the heaven
that one, is for emperor to change clothes. Okay, change clothes.
he must change his clothes into blue ones, in corresponding to the sky.
Also blue one,
Also blue ones. Yeah.
integrated.
Yes, and then he can offer the heaven worshipping ceremony in the old days. So you can imagine that if the emperor still wear yellow clothes, seeing the God of heaven is a kind of disrespect to them. Yeah. So he must change his clothes first.
To the blue one.
Yeah, very much blue.
Okay. Roof is blue, sky is blue.
Yeah.
His clothes was blue.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So over there we see our colleague. Yeah, Ru Xuan. Hi, Ru Xuan. Yeah, finally I just finished my part of the tour. All right. It's almost.
How was the tour?
It was really good. And we had a conversation with Ebola, and we tried the echo wall, and everything was really good. Amazing. All right, so it's your time now. And all right, thank you very much.
So Mr. John and I will explore the second part of the Temple of Heaven. So when it comes to the Temple of Heaven, what is the first thing coming to your mind?
The first thing come to my mind is surely the huge architecture beyond the two gates in front of us. That's the most famous one in the Temple of Heaven, the Hall of Prayer for Good Harvest.
Right. So before entering the Hall of Good Prayers, Hall of Prayer for Good Harvest, we are now coming to the ticket barrier.
can see that the great structure beyond the huge gate is the Hall of Prayer for Good Harvest we've about to visit.
So now we can see that this before entering the Hall of Prayer for Good Harvest, we can see the Gate of Prayer for Good Harvest. So is there anything special about this gate?
Yeah, sure. The gate of praying for good harvest is the oldest gate here in this temple, because many other gates in this temple would be changed or moved in the old days, but only this gate has never been moved. It has remained here since the beginning of the construction of this temple. So it is over 600 years from now. So we can say that this is the oldest gate here in this temple.
What is that thing over there? What is that vessel for?
You can see that this green one is called the firewood oven. It was used for burning the sacrifices for the God of heaven. So we can say that when you burn the sacrifices, it is a kind of inviting the God of heaven to have a dinner, have a lunch. And you can see that also there are some small black ovens over there, and they were used for burning the sacrifices for the emperor's ancestors, the small ones. So you can...
8 ancestors?
First 8 emperors in Qing dynasty. Yeah. So you can see that the place for the God of heaven to eat is more beautiful than the place for the emperor's ancestors.
It's much bigger.
They're much bigger and much taller.
So let's keep moving on.
Okay.
So over this gate, we can see that the Hall of Prayer for Good Harvest standing right in front of us.
Can you imagine that this structure has 32 meters tall, but it is entirely without nails inside.
I can tell that it's really a lofty tower, I mean. Yes.
So it's a fine example of traditional Chinese wooden architecture, and it has been kept to now. So this place is, the Temple of Heaven is most famous for this structure. And its image can be frequently seen on TV screens or on textbooks.
Yes. So it's a most photographed icon in the Temple of Heaven. And I learned that originally the temple of this hall is served as a place for the emperors to worship heaven, and only in the later years did it become the place for prayer and good harvest. So can you tell us more about the history of it?
Yeah, when this Temple of Heaven was first built, this structure was in a rectangular shape, and it had 2 roofs. At that time, it was used for offering sacrifices for the God of heaven and God of earth together. But later in the year 1530, the Chinese emperor thought that it is not respectful for him to do so, to offer sacrifices to 2 gods in the same place, because in the old days, God of heaven was the most important god. So he moved the God of heaven to the circular mount altar that have just the first part of this temple to be worshipped. And here changed to somehow like this, the structure. But at that time, the color of the 3 roofs were different. The bottom one was in green, middle one was in yellow, and the upper one in blue. But in the year 1751, the Chinese emperor changed the structure and the color into this one. And that is what we can see now, was from the 1751.
So I can see that it's a deep blue tile roof. So what is the meaning of color blue?
Because sky is blue, so all of the roofs are in blue. After all, it was the place to pray to the God of heaven for good harvest. So all of them have to be in blue.
So let's walking on the stairs. As far as I can see, that there are some delicately carved marble slabs here in the middle. And what does the patterns on the slabs mean? I mean, they are different actually.
Yes, they're different. You can see that the middle one has a carving of 2 phoenixes, and the upper one has a carving of 2 dragons, and that's the lower one we've just passed has a carving of 2 clouds. Actually, that means the dragons and phoenixes flying above the cloud. and that means auspiciousness and lucky in ancient China. And by the way, the dragon symbolized the emperor, and the phoenixes symbolized the empress.
Yes, very interesting. I mean, so now we can see that the three-tier round structure is right in front of us. This is actually the hall of prayer for good harvest.
So that's the most important structure here in the temple.
I can see lots of people in the middle of the door right there. What are they doing?
They are they are looking at the tablets put inside this structure. And actually, when there were heaven worshiping ceremonies, the emperor would come to this structure to pray for good harvest.
So let's take a closer look at the inner layout of the hall.
Here you can see, you can see that in the center there's a black. There in the center there's a blue tablet. It is the tablet of the God of Heaven in the middle, and you can see that on this blue tablet there are written two kinds of languages. The left one is Manchu language, and the right one is in Mandarin. Actually, you may know that in the Qing dynasty, the rulers were Manchu people. So they wrote the Manchu language and the Mandarin language together to show that all the ethnic groups in China belong to one single family. So that's why you can always see these tablets are written in two languages. And so these Chinese characters and Manchu language is the God's name. And you can also see that there are some other tablets on both sides of the structure. Each side has four tablets, and in front of the tablets you can see that there is a sacrificial table, and in front of the table you can see that on both sides there is a kind of white model ox put in a black box. Can you see that? Yeah. So actually in the old days China was a farming country, so people paid very much attention to ox and agriculture. So when they offer sacrifices to the God of Heaven, they had to offer ox, and the ox were carefully selected. They have to be pure in their fur, and they have to be very small. And people will use these calves to offer sacrifices to the God of Heaven.
So let's keep moving on the outer side of the hall. So just like you said, this hall is known for its ingenious construction, and it was made with no nail. Right. So what about the meaning of the pillars? I mean, that's...
Yeah, from here we can see that there are some pillars inside the structure. And you can see that the pillar with golden flowers, there are four of them, symbolizing the four seasons of the year. And this kind of red pillar inside the structure has 12, symbolizing the 12th month of the year. 12 months, yeah. And you can see that in the outer circle, connecting the doors and windows, there are also 12 pillars. And
let me guess. What are the meaning of them? Yeah. 12. I mean, is that hours?
Yes.
But we have 24 hours right now.
Yes. Because in the old days, the Chinese people divided every 24 hours into 12 divisions. So one pillar equals to one division in the old days. So it equals to 12 hours in the old days by ancient Chinese people. Yeah.
So I see that the design, true to its sacred purpose, actually reflects the perceived relationship between heaven and the earth, the core of Chinese cosmology at that time. Right.
Yes. So every construction in ancient China has something to do with cosmology here, and also the nature, the heaven.
So now we are coming to the back of the hall. Right there we see another building. Can you tell us a little more about that one?
This building was used for storing the tablets in the old days. Actually, before the heaven worshipping ceremony, all the tablets will be placed in this structure to be worshipped. But when there were no heaven worshipping ceremonies, all these tablets would be stored in this building. So we can call that this building is somehow like the imperial vault of heaven we've just visited.
Oh,
Yeah. So
somewhere to store the tablets.
yes. So we can say that when the God of heaven had no work to do, he will rest here. And when he had work to do, he will come to this hall to be worshipped or to be prayed by the emperors.
So I learned that covering an area of 2.7 million square meters, the Temple of Heaven is right now also a park for people to relax and do physical exercises. And standing at this point, I can see that the park is covered with trees and grasses, and the air smells fresh here. So, do you know that how many trees are there, roughly speaking?
Yeah, sure. This Temple of Heaven has nearly 40,000 trees. So it's a huge amount of trees here. So that will improve the air quality here in this area. So when you walk inside the Temple of Heaven, you can feel that you are refreshed.
Yes.
And you will feel very glad to do exercises or enjoy yourself here. Yeah, so that's why there are many people after they retire, they can come here to play chess, or walking, or jogging. To Tai Chi, yes. That's a very special Chinese practice. So this is a very ideal place for them to do exercises.
So, I mean, as a senior tour guide here, what's your favorite spot in the Temple of Heaven?
Wow. I would say this place, the Hall of Prayer for Good Harvest. After all, it is the most famous part here in this temple. It is very famous from home and abroad, and every year there will be about 10 million visitors come to visit this structure. So it is already become a symbol of the Temple of Heaven and a symbol of Beijing.
Thank you for so much. Thank you for sharing with us today. It's really informative and provides a detailed introduction for us to appreciate the charm of the Temple of Heaven. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So walking in the park, you can see that there are a lot of birds hovering in the air. It reminds us the people can live in harmony with the environment. As a name card of Beijing, the Temple of Heaven has shown ancient China's philosophy, history, and religion. Its grand architecture style and profound cultural connotation given insight into the practices of ancient Eastern civilization. As the longest and most intact central axis in an ancient city of the world, the central axis of Beijing boasts the best of the architecture and actually boasts the best of the architecture and bears witness to the history of the city. So now our live streaming on the Jingshan Park and the Temple of Heaven is coming to an end. If you like it, please follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you for watching. See you next time.